Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Procrastinator's Pit Stop. We are sitting today with Matt Traverso, who is a transformative coach with more than 25 years of experience. He works with CEOs, athletes, entrepreneurs, and everyday people who want to get more out of themselves and their lives. He also mentors coaches at all stages of their careers, from beginner coaches to seasoned professionals. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hi, Chris. Very happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you here, and we have some interesting things to dive into for sure. But before we do like to have an icebreaker on the show. And the question for you is, which cartoon character do you resonate with the most?
Maybe I'd go with Charlie Brown because I don't watch cartoons often, but those few time that I watched or or read something with Charlie Brown, I found some nice pearls of wisdom in a very simple fashion, and that I thought that made me pause and think, yeah, that's true. Good.
I like that one. You know, Charlie Brown. He's got the football set up, and then I think it's Peppermint Patty that always pulled the football away at the last second. And then we had Lucy. I think it was Lucy, right? That
Lucy.
was the five cent life coaching or psychiatric advice or something. Right?
Something like.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, used to really love Peanuts and Snoopy. So, Matt, digging right into it, how would you define procrastination, and what does it mean to you personally?
Well, procrastination, to me, and the way I would define it is somewhat. It's not that bad, actually, because probably there's something to it. There's a message. If you're procrastinating, probably you don't want to do it. You don't really want to do it. And the fact that you are feeling some resistance, it's good. It should get you to pay attention, to ask yourself some questions as to why am I procrastinating on this project, whatever. And sometimes if you really are decided, you're clear, this is something that I should do, that I want to do, but I'm still not doing, then you are not aligned, in tune, integrated with the thing that you say that you want to do, or you're not quite ready yet. And even though in theory this is something in alignment and you are sincere, you're honest, that you want to do it, or you want to achieve that, you want to get that done because you know it's important. There are too many distractions in your life. You're not ready. I'm just kind of guessing, besides, it depends, because actually I tend to read people pretty well at this stage now of my career. So I can smell, I can sense what might be the reason for someone procrastinating. In general, the person does not want to do it. And that's good, because when you really, maybe you know, and when I said earlier, probably you're not ready in the second scenario, but if you really want to do something, you always find a way, period.
I like that. You know, when you want to find a way, you find it, and then period. That is so true. And it kind of segues into my next question. Then, I mean, we know that there's no silver bullet or one fix all for procrastination for everybody. So, what is your secret sauce for getting over procrastination?
Right. I'm actually walking my talk and doing what I preach. So I am very focused on doing stuff that makes me feel good. And sometimes it's a matter of framing it, transforming it in my mind in such a way that I go, yeah, I like that. I want to do that. And that's also part of coaching as well, and inducing or inspiring or triggering an insight in your client that they go, wow, yes. And they have all the resources, the energy, the drive, the determination to make anything happen. And that becomes fun, even though it involves a lot of work. It's not the action per se, but the mindset with which behind the action, behind the behavior, that makes all the difference.
And actually, you probably touch on this a little bit in your book, Unlock Your Potential, which segues into my next very old, very overused. All the members of my audience are way they're rolling their eyes right now because they know what I'm going to say. And they say that writing a book is 98% procrastination and 2% actually doing it. How true is that for you and Unlock Your Potential?
Your guests usually, is that what they say, or your clients? Do they say that it's 98% procrastination and 2% actually doing it? Who says that?
It's just a saying. I'm not even really sure where it came from to begin with, but it seems to be one we always come back and repeat so often.
Well, yeah, well, I can relate to that, and at the same time, I wouldn't agree to that as well. So we're human, of course. So yes, I've been there, and at the same time, I've been way light years away from there. And for example, I've just finished writing a new book, and it was a beautiful, magnificent addiction to rewriting it, perfecting it. I just loved the whole process of refining it, revising it, and it was so transformational for me as well, so cathartic. And so enjoyable, the whole process, very pleasurable, because I was refining my own ideas, these concepts in my mind, and seeing how the difference that this new structure of saying the same thing in a slightly different way, the effect that it was having, the difference that it was having on me as the reader. So it was really a beautiful, and then also expanding or deepening certain concepts. But the main thing is that I just love the process, and it's not published yet because I'm still enjoying the process so much that I'm like, I'm not gonna publish it. Yeah, of course I am, but I'm enjoying the process. And I don't actually have a deadline. The publisher, I used major publishers in the past. Right now, I'm self-publishing the book, and therefore I don't have any pressures. I'm writing it for me, and I'm the most critical of all readers. So it's I'm very pleased with it. Very proud of how it's coming along.
And what would you say is your favorite new concept or idea that you're fleshing out in this book?
Right. I'm being really immersed, captured by the whole idea that we don't live in the feeling of the world, in the feeling of circumstances, in the feeling of situations of people, because people, situations, circumstances mean nothing, don't cause any emotion until we have a thought. That's the key. So that level of filter, which is thought, through which we make sense of everything, is a revolution, a total revolution. It's not just change the perspective, the point of view, a new interpretation. No, you realize that the way you are thinking about a situation, a circumstance, is it. There's nothing else. Especially when we are talking about intangible things such as love, happiness, you, people. Wow. When we're talking about an iPhone, it's different. Sure, even though, your idea is different to mine. But when we're talking about your character, satisfaction, all these in these states, these emotions, these feelings that are driving our lives, you realize that it's all made up. There's a beautiful quote that says, "It's not reality, but it is through thought that reality takes form, that reality happens, that reality gets created." Reality gets created by thought. Like, the quote by renowned physicist David Bohm, who said, "Thought creates the world." And then says, "I didn't do it." It's a freaky thing of this whole process of thinking and the principle of thought that creates everything that is behind all the states, feelings, emotions we have. And our emotions is our life. If we have great emotions, we have a great life. If we have crappy emotions, no matter how many millions you have in the bank, you have a crappy, sorry, sad, terrible life. So that also has changed my way of helping people in coaching a lot. Because ultimately, I prioritize happiness over success. I didn't used to do that, but now I do, and it works. It makes sense. It works a lot better without risking a heart attack. Yeah, without compromising your health. So we're going through so much change. This time in history right now, and we can expect many decades of great life, great health. So we have to keep care. We really have to take care of ourselves really seriously. We have to be serious in taking care of ourselves. And that means prioritizing our health, our joy, our happiness, feeling good now. And guess what? I believe that happiness leads to success more often than success leads to happiness. So you win twice, many more times, but at least twice. A lot more than prioritizing success. And that is where many people, to my mind, get confused. So that's what this is, this has been, but this is something that has occupied my mind for quite a few years now. Let's say the last 3, 4, 5 years, more and more. It's like you live in another world. You're surfing over confusion, known change very comfortably, very easily. You take everything in stride. You are really taking things smoothly and serenely. With all, with a lot of course, excitement and energy and passion, enthusiasm. It's all there. Not that you actually have to show off, but you have this reservoir of energy, of inner resources available, because you're not spreading yourself too thin. You're taking excellent care of yourself. You do all the things that bring you joy and happiness, and that allows you to be like, everybody wants to be their best self, achieve the best version of yourself. How do you do that? By killing yourself? I don't think so. I tried, and I was trying. We all we can all sell ourselves a bunch of BS. I'm happy because I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I slept 3 hours, and I'm killing myself, and I'm doing so much. I lost taste for that kind of BS. Also, maybe the years as well. And then, you just learn to let go a lot more and learn to dance with the universe. You try to fight the universe, and sometimes you tell yourself that you're winning, But that's again that's not happening. It doesn't happen for anyone. We can go down the list and it doesn't happen. You want to win the universe, you want to win when you're fighting the universe, stop fighting the universe and align with the universe. Become it in a way. I'm just letting myself go with the flow, as they say. But yes, it's all connected to realizing that we are not living in the feeling of circumstances. We are only experiencing living. We're living in the feeling of our thinking, moment to moment. Okay? And when I say thinking, I mean mental activity. What goes on in here? And the more we become the witness of what's happening within, the more power we have, especially in letting those thoughts that are not very smart let go. And we all have them. I don't care who we are. I talk to enlightened people. I had the privilege of spending time with Byron Katie, and we all have stuff in our mind. Sometimes, maybe less and less often, of course, very rarely, but we still have it. So it's very useful to be aware that that's not you. It's just this mental impulse. And knowing how your mind works and seeing what it does and seeing your thoughts as an outside observer is really, really helpful, useful.
Thank you for sharing. Quite a bit of stuff in there. I wanted to ask you, since we're on the subject of happiness and more people are talking about this now, I wanted to get your take on it, since you seem to be a big advocate. So they say that in order to really move forward, happiness is a choice. You have to have unconditional happiness. We literally stand in our own ways when it comes to happiness. To what extent do you think that's
so that we are standing in our own way of happiness?
correct? So we put too many conditions. We say, I'm going to be happy when I get that $2 million. I want to be happy when I get that promotion. I want to be happy when I get a girlfriend. I want to be happy when I'm a father. And then those moments come, and then inevitably...
Yes, sure. Yes, that's the old pattern of postponing our best life, our happiness to a future state that you'll never get there, because the future, by the way, does not exist, period. There is only this present moment, as we all know, this now. Future is a thought that we are having in the present moment. So this trap, it's a trap. I'm going to be happy when I'll get the promotion, then I'll finally, when I make $1 million, yes, then I will really give myself permission to really finally be truly happy. Then you make $1 million, then you need, actually, I need 10 million. You make 10, let's go for 100 million. Then I will know for sure that I am XYZ, ABC, or all the things that you making 1 million or 10 or 100 will allow you to convince yourself of being. That's silly. Anyway, and there's a great quote that I think, it's also well known, but it makes sense, or at least that's something that is more sensible and that I relate to it a lot more, which is, there's no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. And like I said earlier, happiness leads to success more often than success leads to happiness. Hey, worst case scenario, you're happy. Best case scenario, you're happy. And for some people, let's say, you're driving a Bugatti and you have 10 million in the bank. To most people, this would be best case scenario. But it's not necessarily like that. It's not a given. It's not a given. There are people with billions that were not happy at all. At all. So let's not like, all right, let's go for happiness. And then and you make everything else easier to attract if you want to. It's not mandatory.
So, and you said something really interesting there. You said when you have these things, these goals that you succeed at, success doesn't necessarily mean happiness. So happiness is not a given, yet happiness is always given. Is that the idea?
No, I said creating material success does not automatically translate into you being very happy. Because I said, if you go for happiness first, then, worst case scenario, let's say that you don't make $1 billion, worst case scenario, you are happy. You're having a happy, a fulfilling experience. Great. This is the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you are also driving, let's say, a Bugatti, and you have 10 or 100 millions in your bank account. But then I said, well, but let's not just think that it's the Bugatti or the 10 millions that is going to make you happy, because it's not. It doesn't work like that at all automatically. It's great. It's like money. It's great if you are in a good place, you are happy, you are relating well to yourself, you have a good relationship with yourself, you love yourself, essentially. That's what I'm saying. If you love yourself, a lot of money will amplify your goodness. If you're not in a good place emotionally, a lot of money will amplify those bad emotions, will magnify the bad emotions, unfortunately. It's a big amplifier, money, and therefore richness, material possessions in general. But I would like to add something, especially, connected to my profession of coaching, that the reason why I prioritize happiness, feeling good, is because it always allows you to do whatever you're doing better. When you are feeling good, doesn't matter what you do, no matter what profession, what job, what occupation, you're doing it better, more effectively and more successfully. So that's what I'm focusing on. I'm not like, okay, what's your goal? And then let's strategize. Let's come up with the best strategy so that we can maximize your strength and so that you can kill yourself to achieve more. I used to do that. That was a big component in my coaching style. It's no longer like that. Now it's all about flying on a magic carpet, on this flying carpet, and dancing with the universe and not giving up control, but giving up the need and the illusion of control. And especially for entrepreneurs, this is big stuff. No, what? No, and they're all control freaks, but they're digging their grave with their choices in terms of both personal and professional choices. So especially personal choices, and those are the most important, by the way. So yes, this is my approach to coaching. Is about feeling good. Is about dancing with life, listening to your gut, your intuition, your heart, your inner guidance, your wisdom. And of course, paying attention to our core values, of course. But at the same time, our heart is a huge component. So we want to feel happy, feel good with our choices, our decisions, so that we're bringing our best, especially today. Once again, things are changing too much and too fast to trust on your plans too much. There's a great quote that says, if you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans. That's nice.
You said some interesting things there, and especially as it relates to happiness and just moving forward in life. So, what would you say to somebody listening who says, "Well, okay, how do I find happiness?" You mentioned self love, which I guess is one component. What are some other components of being happy? Especially, say, you have the guy, his wife left him. The other guy, hasn't found a job. The other guy says he doesn't make enough money, even though he pays all his bills. What do you say to those people and how to find?
Can you remember? Can you mention one is it can't find job, the other one got fired, and what was the first one? What happened to? Oh, they got divorced. Was cheated by
Yeah,
his
they got
wife.
divorced or they lost their partner or whatever the case may be.
Right. That's a great example. Yes. Right. So these are circumstances that happen, and they are neutral. They have no power whatsoever to make us feel anything at all. Not on this planet. Doesn't work like that. So those situations, your husband, your wife has filed for divorce, has cheated on you, and you got fired, whatever. They are just events in the universe that have no meaning whatsoever, and doesn't matter what they mean to that person or that person. What matters is what these things, these situations, these circumstances, these events mean to you. And you might go, all right, my wife has cheated on me. Great. I know finally who she is, this sort of person she is. Now I know that I know where we are standing at. I know where we are. And like the old quote says, now I need, well, actually, I'm not going to say it. It's a little bit too silly, but I now that has created the space for somebody who's truly right for me. And somebody gets fired. Good. Why good? Well, because probably you learned, and there are many, many things that come up to my mind. For example, you learned that when you have a job, you are not being paid to keep the chair warm. In some cultures, they use this expression, you're not being paid to warm up the chair, something along these lines. Or to just sit there or just look at the screen of your computer or whatever you're doing at the job, but you're paid to add value. If you had been adding enough value, I guarantee you would not have been fired. So you learned a lesson. That was a valuable lesson, and you got it for free. You didn't have to go on a coaching program for 6 months to learn that. Life has handed it to you on a silver platter. Anyway, sometimes, there are, but, I don't want to ridicule events in life because sometimes there are some things that are wrong. I know that. So I don't want to sound flippy about it or superficial. And that is the time when you have to trust in the power of something like life itself, a power greater than ourselves. And so instead of, let's call it nature, the universe, and instead of again creating resisting, like the quote, I think by Jung, he says, whatever you resist persists. So you want to just, like, maybe with a coach, it's very good to let this stuff go and release it with a good coach that can really allow you and witness your experience, whatever it is, without them, the coach being that, without them telling you what to do, giving you advice. Those are terrible coaches. So somebody who, can hold space, really, in a caring way, compassionate way, loving way. But that's it. Ultimately, we release whatever it is that needs to be released, and you just let it go. But then again, you don't lose the drive, you don't lose your motivation, and you become actually stronger and more. Then you create whatever empowering meaning that you want. You just remind yourself that to do anything is not something that you just try once or twice, bingo, and you get what you want. Sometimes it takes more than one season. And so there are many metaphors that I would use, because sometimes a great metaphor helps people in that situation. Let's say, the farmer's metaphor, sometimes they do everything right. They are doing everything right. They weren't warming up the chair. They weren't wasting time in the office. They did everything right. And guess what? Fall comes around, they go out to harvest, and a huge storm destroys their crop. You can blame the universe, you can blame whatever. You can blame China. China has got nothing to do with this situation, but it's trending these days. You can blame whatever you want, but hey, that's what happens. This is it. This is the universe. This is nature. And you'll learn to just say, yes, that's beautiful. Yes, it's awesome. Yes, because, hey, you develop depth, patience, trust, faith. You build some serious foundations. The next year rolls around, and you have the biggest crop ever, for example. Yeah, so you will always get it. It's only if you just give up, that's when you really miss out. But if you stay in the game, your chance will come. And your opportunity and also blessings, great experiences will come your way. This is a given in life as well. I know that there are the difficult moments, it's a given, but also the wonderful moments as well.
I like that. And I like the way that you framed that. And it leads me to an interesting question. So in order for us to be happy, unconditional happiness, we don't put conditions on it. We just, accept or, don't be attached to, a certain specific outcome. But many of us find it very hard to let things go. The wife that cheated on us, or the boss that fired us unfairly, or the any other situation where we sit there and we say, why me? Why do you suppose that it's so difficult for us as human beings to let go of things that, well, seem to hurt us?
Yes, that's a nice and legitimate question. Very, very, very human. Why is it so hard to let go? Well, because we are not finding it hard to let go of the event. It's because what you are finding hard to let go is not the event. It's the stuff that you created in your mind as the event, representing the event. Connected to, in your mind, connected to the event. But the two things are completely different. How you are thinking about the event and the event itself. The event itself could be an infinite number of possibilities. Maybe the boss was going through a very tough time in his life personally. Maybe he lost some very special, dear people in his life or her life, or maybe he was feeling a huge amount of fear, insecurity, a dissatisfaction about life. He was so confused. He was going through a really rough time. He was fed up with everything about his life. And he just unloaded, he just fired someone who had nothing to do with whatever he was going through. So that could be a reason, or, many other variations along those lines. The wife cheating you. Sometimes we think we know the person we are spending time with, but sometimes we often, couple therapists tell us that they don't really know that well, especially at an intimate level. They don't communicate in like 78% of the time. 78% of couples don't have a really heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul communication openness. They don't. And there are so many fears and barriers. And so sometimes the person cheating was going, once again, had who knows what was happening to this person. So in other words, my style of coaching helps you differentiate, separate the stuff that happens, circumstances, and what you are feeling. Many people think, most people in fact think that what happens, boom, I feel. Not so. It's not the case. Let's say even, same events, same situation, same things, different feelings. If I say Donald Trump, you have thoughts, you have feelings different to mine. Maybe similar perhaps, but not identical. If we ask 100 people, 1,000 people, same thing. If we, or any other experience whatsoever, if I say dog, everybody has their own experience. But other than that, because that is even, the distinction that I'm trying to make, which is life change, life, it's a revolution in the way we see life. It's simply that these circumstances don't determine our feelings. Our feelings are 100% internally generated. It's a unique, subjective, individual, perceptual experience, psychological experience that we create ourselves. And that's the one that we are going around with, that we relate to, and we think that, yes, that is my wife that is causing me all this stress, all this sadness. It's not your wife. You could be laughing like crazy. Do you think, is it possible that somebody could be totally indifferent if they make up a different meaning in their life? Yes, that's it. The key, maybe something that simplifies this whole conversation, this concept, is meaning. Meaning creates emotion. And probably the best example, the most powerful example, is Viktor Frankl through the Holocaust experience. He went through hell multiple times at Auschwitz, Dachau, Treblinka, Mauthausen. And after that hellish, nightmarish experience for almost 3 years, he comes out and says, that was the most significant, the most valuable, the most important experience of my life that I wouldn't trade for any other experience. Wow. And he said, he found that even when you have no choice, you are still, because you're being threatened and you're being forced physically from the outside world, but inside you have a freedom. He calls it the last of human freedoms. That freedom that no one can take from you, your inner freedom. And inside you can be, like he was, the freest person, metaphorically speaking, in the room, in the camp. In his case, it was not a nice room, it was a camp. In the camp, he was the freest person. And everybody could feel that he was free inside. And when you read this incredible book, Man's Search for Meaning, beautiful book. Everybody should read it. And then you realize that you have no excuses to say that you can't find, you're not capable, you can't find an empowering meaning to give to the extraordinary experiences that life offers you every day. We don't have any excuses. So, I hope that you can still catch the practical aspect of these examples, because it's about how you feel inside. And once again, it's not what's outside the external situations, the external circumstances don't affect us so directly, because they can't affect us directly. They cannot. The only way that an event can affect us is only through thought. Period. Only through thought that we can create and generate the experience. Make sense? And
yeah, that makes sense.
good. And if that is the case, then we have the power of how we direct, we shape, we use our thought, our focus, our attention. That's something that it's a huge gift that we have. We as humans, we've been blessed with this wonderful gift. And that's what that is what matters, because we have these two worlds: the external world, which we cannot control, we can influence, but we can't control, and the internal world, which we can control. How we direct our focus, our attention, our feeling states. We can learn to master emotional mastery, our actions, our behaviors, and to a good extent, our results. Even though let's remind ourselves that in terms of results, nothing is guaranteed, but in the long run, you usually get lucky. This is scientific.
Interesting. Don't think I've heard lucky and scientific in the same sentence before. Matt, this has been a great conversation. We are coming up on the time. Is there anything you wish that I would have asked, but I didn't ask, or anything you feel we should have covered, but we didn't cover today?
No, I think we covered the main things. We were very open with our topics, issues, even though they were all revolving around this incredible power of thought that shapes our life. So I think we covered the important things.
And just before we go, what's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you in case they have questions?
Sure. Yeah. My website is matttraverso.com. And yeah, they can contact me through my website, and there's information there. They can download a free chapter from Unlock Your Potential. So yes, they'll find all the information there.
Okay, sounds good. To all our listeners, just don't worry. We are going to have that in the show notes so that you'll be able to find it easily. And once again, Matt, just thank you so much for the discussion. It was very enlightening, interesting to think about thought. I guess we're just doubling up there, right? Thinking about thought. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. And just remember, if you can't find that motivation or inspiration for yourself today, maybe just go out and try to be that motivation and inspiration for someone else. And see you again next time.
Nice line.